So, how much does a last-minute Christmas trip to Cancun really cost? I had a budget in mind, but let's just say reality had other plans, from flights and hotels to excursions and some very unexpected expenses. Here's what I spent on my 5-day trip to Mexico, and trust me, some of these costs caught me completely off guard. Was it worth it? Let's find out. If you watched my last video, planning my first Christmas trip to Cancun, budget, flights and surprises, you will know that it was my first ever Christmas vacation trip and my first trip to Mexico. It was a pretty spontaneous one too. In this video, I'm sharing a detailed breakdown of exactly what I spent in United States dollars, in Canadian dollars, in Mexican pesos, because we used all three currencies during this trip. Plus, I'll show you where I went way over budget. I traveled with a friend from December 25 to 29, 2023. And let's just say spontaneous trips come with spontaneous surprises. Originally, my plan was simple: flights and hotel in one package, a bit of spending cash on activities and souvenirs. Easy, right? Well, here's how it started. For the vacation package, which included both the flight and the hotel, on November 26, 2023, at 5:33 in the morning, the cost was 4,394 Canadian dollars and 76 cents for 2 people. That worked out to 2,197 Canadian dollars and 38 cents each. But by 11:43 a.m. that same morning, the price had jumped to 4,554 Canadian dollars and 76 cents, which meant 2,277 Canadian dollars and 38 cents each. It was a mammoth thing of about 80 Canadian dollars extra per person, but we decided to go ahead anyway. For the train from Ottawa to Toronto round trip, it cost 218 Canadian dollars and 51 cents after applying a 12.5% corporate discount. So in total, I prepaid 2,495 Canadian dollars and 89 cents, covering both the vacation package and the train ride. Budget so far, 2,495 Canadian dollars and 89 cents. December 19, 2023, I withdrew $400 from my US dollar savings account, with the Canadian dollar equivalent being $533.43. This cash was meant to cover souvenirs and activities while in Cancun. December 23, I realized none of my backpacks were the right size for a carry-on, so I went to Value Village and got a great second-hand backpack for 15 Canadian dollars 24 cents. It was in awesome condition, and buying second-hand helped keep costs down. December 24, 2023, Christmas Eve, the adventure officially began. I started the first leg of the trip by boarding my train to Toronto. I had set aside $400 for all my activities and souvenirs, $80 in cash, and exchanged $320 for 5,220 Mexican pesos. But surprise, surprise, my first unexpected cost hit. I lost my Presto card. That's the reloadable smart card for public transit in Ontario. So I had to pay 3 Canadian dollars 30 cents out of pocket to get from Union Station to Eglinton Station to meet my friend. December 25, 2023. Merry Christmas! We arrived in Cancun and hopped into an airport taxi to our hotel, which cost a shocking 1,700 Mexican pesos. That's about $104 for a smooth 30-minute ride with no traffic. Airport taxis are always pricey, but still, wow. At the hotel, Riu Palace Las Americas, we booked our excursions with the Expedia agent stationed there. December 26, swimming with dolphins, Aquarium trek, and a clear boat ride. December 27, Chichen Itza and Cenote Saamal day tour. December 28, Tulum Ruins and Rio Secreto tour. All 3 days of activities cost me a whopping $426, which when the dust settled translated to 580 Canadian dollars 57 cents debited from my account. This completely blew through my $400 activities and souvenirs budget. December 26, 2023, Boxing Day. On Boxing Day, we had a packed day with swimming with dolphins, the aquarium trek, and the clear boat ride. Costs for the day: $10 for the round-trip shuttle service to the Dolphins Interactive Aquarium, 4,928 pesos for the dolphin pictures and videos. Thankfully, my friend paid upfront, and I reimbursed her 2,470 pesos in cash. $50 for pictures from the aquarium trek, paid in cash. 200 pesos for cabs to and from the clear boat ride by Introvert. 20 pesos for tips for the boat guide and driver. By the end of the day, I had about 830 pesos and $30 left in cash. December 27, 2023. On this day, we toured Chichen Itza, one of the 7 wonders of the modern world, and Cenote Saamal. Here's what I spent: 60 pesos for a cold drink at Chichen Itza. It was hot. 40 pesos tip for the Yucatan dancers at Pueblo Maya, where we had lunch. Cash on hand after today: 730 pesos and still $30. December 28, 2023. December 28 was another big expense day. We explored Tulum Ruins and Rio Secreto. My major expenses: $110, equivalent to 149 Canadian dollars and 9 cents, for professional photos at Rio Secreto, charged to my credit card. 20 pesos tip for the driver. Unknown cost for souvenir key holders. 300 pesos to hold a cheeky monkey called Justin. $3 cash tip to Victor, our fantastic cave guide at Rio Secreto. $12 for 2 fridge magnets at her cook stall. $5 tip at our hotel's Japanese restaurant, Sakura, although not really impressed with the service at dinner. By the end of the day, I had only $10 and 10 pesos left, meals and extras. Since our resort was all-inclusive, we didn't have to worry about food or drinks. But extra tips for service staff, spontaneous cab rides, and the occasional souvenir shopping spree still added up fast. December 29, we checked out and headed to the airport. Before leaving, I tipped $5 at breakfast for the waiters. Then came another hidden cost, the visit tax, a mandatory tourist tax for visitors to Cancún and surrounding areas. I paid the visit tax online for both my friend and I, $96, equivalent to 130 Canadian dollars 26 cents, charged to my credit card. So my share was 65 Canadian dollars 13 cents, way higher than I expected. Not sure why, since it should have been much less. My friend balanced things out by covering the environmental tax and paying for our taxi back to the airport. December 30, final travel day. I took the Via Rail train back to Ottawa, spending 3 Canadian dollars 30 cents for the subway fare from Eglinton to Union Station, 9 Canadian dollars for banana bread and orange juice on the train. I was starving. 3 Canadian dollars 70 cents for an OC transport pass from the station to my house. I returned home with 10 pesos and $5. I deposited the $5 in my US dollar savings account and kept the 10 pesos as a souvenir. Bear in mind, my initial budget for this spontaneous Cancun vacation was 2,495 Canadian dollars 89 cents, equivalent to 1,830 US dollars 70 cents for the Riu hotel vacation package and the round-trip train ride. Plus, I set aside 533 Canadian dollars 43 cents, equivalent to 400 US dollars for tourist activities and souvenirs. This brought my planned budget to a total of 3,029 Canadian dollars and 32 cents, equivalent to 2,230 US dollars and 70 cents. But the actual amount I spent ended up being 3,851 Canadian dollars 98 cents, equivalent to 2,907 US dollars 26 cents. Yep, I went over budget by 822 Canadian dollars 66 cents, equivalent to 676 US dollars 56 cents. Thankfully, I didn't go into debt. I was able to pay off the 822 Canadian dollars 66 cents that I went over budget. Phew! So, in total, I pretty much spent every dollar and peso I brought along, and then some. Was it expensive? Yes. Was it worth it? For the most part, yes. I don't regret the trip. It was an amazing girls' spontaneous Christmas getaway that we pulled off ourselves. But for future trips, here's what I'll do differently. Set a realistic budget with room for flexibility and emergencies. Stick with structured, organized group tours for cost transparency. Plan and book activities early to snag better deals. Agree with travel companions on who is paying for what before the trip. Use public transportation where possible to cut down costs. Track spending daily, even if it's just a quick note on my phone. And that's the full breakdown of how my Christmas trip to Cancun went from under control to what just happened. Would you have spent more or less? Let me know in the comments. So, overall, this trip definitely cost me way more than I planned. But you know what? Every single moment was worth it. Traveling during Christmas, exploring new places, and creating these memories. Priceless. If you enjoyed this breakdown, check out my next video on the most shocking things I discovered in Cancun. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye. Planning my first ever, because we used all three currencies. Originally, that's the smart relief. Oh my goodness. I lost my smart card. Okay, let's try that again. We've got noisemakers in the background. If you enjoyed this breakdown, oh come on, guys.